I'll tell you what, networking is a cool thing. A couple years ago, we were fishing an AIM event, and we met a guy who was emceeing the tournament called Jason Goldschmidt. Well, Jason wanted us to come up to Lake Winnipeg and do some ice fishing. So Jason introduced us to his friends, who introduced us to some other friends, and we got to go out now today with Lee Nolden. And Lee knows this lake very, very well, and that's important because Lake Winnipeg is huge. And between the four of us, we're gonna try and go out in Lake Winnipeg, find out some active pods of fish, try and hog call in some big ones. I got Jim Hudson, our Next Bite resident ice fishing expert with us, and I got our TV producer, Dustin Hoye, to come out and try and find these fish. And I tell you what, we're gonna do some jigging, we're gonna do some hog calling, we're gonna do whatever it takes to get the next bite.
I'm just looking for the next bite. I'm just looking for the next bite. I'm just looking for the next bite. I'm just looking for some fish with teeth. Fish with teeth.
Keith Kavajecz, Gary Parsons, and Pete Mena live to fish. But certain fish really throw these guys over the edge. Walleye, muskie, northern pike, fish with teeth. Countless days spent on the water have turned these guys into fishing machines with an eagerness to teach people how to catch more fish. So if you are ready to become a better fisherman, join Keith, Pete, and Gary on their quest for the next bite.
I'm just looking for the next bite.
The largest lake within the borders of southern Canada, Lake Winnipeg is a sprawling yet relatively shallow body of water. A remnant of a prehistoric glacial lake, it is a perfect setting for the big tools, loud lures, and even some sweet toys that will be used to seek out the big green walleyes that lurk beneath the lake's currently 4-foot thick, icy hide.
Houston, we've had a problem.
I got one.
Is it a good one?
Hurry up, Jim, he's almost up. Feels like a good one. Well, I don't know if he's a walleye or not.
He's putting a lot of water in the hole, but
Here he comes.
there's a walleye.
I would have sworn that wasn't a walleye.
Here you go.
Look at that thing.
Look at how thick they are, Keith.
They're just but I mean, look at how he ate that frenzy, Berkeley frenzy there. He just smashed it.
Yeah. Oh, he was just flooding the hole with his head shakes.
Man, what a nice looking fish. Classic greenback up here. Very, very nice.
He ate that. He ate
Yummy, yummy. He goes, these are good. Well, let me get him back in the hole here, Jim.
Yep.
There he goes. Let him grow up even bigger. Ooh, he's just a slip slider there.
Yeah.
Huh? You hear it all the time that you should be mobile when you're out ice fishing. What we're fishing here is basically a big flat. It's a big basin area. There's no structure, there's no rock, there's no shoreline breaks or anything. And what's happening is that the fish cruise around on this in pods. Now what we're running into here is that the pods are fairly small. They might only have 20, 30 fish in them. And in between the pods, there might be scattered fish all over. So what we're trying to do is move and move and move and move, trying to land on one of these pods. I would say almost all of our fish are caught within the first 15 minutes of when we're on a spot. We draw them in, we catch whatever's there, and then we have to move. The other weird thing about pods is they don't sit in one place. You can't GPS mark them and just go back to that spot again because that pod can move around. So you got a moving target, you got fairly small pods out here, but the good thing is there's tons of fish. So if you move enough, you keep mobile, and you keep those baits in the water, you're gonna catch fish here on Lake Winnipeg or any place you find these open water basin fish.
In addition to staying mobile to seek out these smaller pods of walleyes, everyone's using real-time LCD fish finders to nail down more specific details like jigging cadences.
Here, hog, 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 hog.
Are you hog calling in there, Keith?
Here, hog, 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 hog.
However, Keith and Lee decide to pull some double duty by trying to stay more at the head of the school, keeping an eye on its general direction so we stay on fish.
Well, hard to see him through a slush. There he comes. Ooh, that's a nice one.
And conserving not only the gas for the drill, but our backs as well.
That's one thing that works good is when you come out and scout in front of us to find these fish and then bring us here while we're in other spots catching fish, and then we keep on going to the better spot.
To most seasoned ice fishermen like Keith Kavajecz, Jim Hudson, or Lee Nolan, some of the things involved with their techniques are second nature already.
Lift up some more. Lift up some more.
But this was my first time out on the ice, and I quickly became very focused on the part of the overall crash course that involved keeping these walleyes interested in my lure as they came in for a look on the graph.
I was watching you play with him on the electronics, and you see him coming up. How are you getting him, triggering him like that once you see him start to follow your lure like that?
Well, the best thing we like is when they just come and crush it, kind of like what we had in the morning, but now here in the afternoon we do have to work them a little bit. I'll let this one go quick, and I'll just kind of drop my lure down and show you what's going on here. So basically I've been going down to the bottom.
Right.
To get them to come in, I'm holding my jig about a foot off the bottom, ripping it and coming down and hitting bottom. And I see the fish come in, and if it doesn't hit right away, and the mark's coming up to it slowly, all I do is I play a cat and mouse type of game.
Okay.
Just keep on slowly rising it away, and usually it'll trigger that fish. It's an instinct type thing where the fish comes up underneath it quick, the bait fish is fleeing away, and you feel the bite.
So you keep the lure moving the whole time? I mean,
exactly.
Besides the hold part?
Well, even when I'm holding it, I'm shaking it. I'm shaking, the treble hook, because if we have, a gulp on it or say a minnow head, I want that part of the bait moving as I'm bringing it up, because that's what that fish is keyed in on.
So when the mark comes up and then maybe sometimes it starts to go away, do you follow it back down with the lure?
Yep, I go quickly right back to the bottom. I hit the bottom and I come past the fish again, usually a reaction bite again. It'll come up, grab the lure.
The next bite is presented by Mercury. Amsoil, the first in synthetics. Tracker Boats, fish the finest. Bass Pro Shops, your adventure starts here. Berkeley, catch more fish. And Motor Guide, never stop. Attempting to maximize our coverage at each location has professional angler Keith Kavajecz, Wisconsin guide and ice expert Jim Hudson, local guide Lee Nolan, and myself, Dustin Hoye, spreading further and further apart for our individual setups, but continuing to share cadence information.
Just let it flutter down to that.
Allowing us to make the most out of every opportunity.
Here he comes, There he is. Oh! Got a good one, guys.
No matter the volume of the bite.
Oh, man, you got him. I got him pinned to the side.
Look at that.
Nice fish.
And thanks to Keith, Lee, and Jim's earlier instructions, keeping my eyes glued to the graph, and knowing how to combine that with the cat and mouse game these big Winnipeg walleyes sometimes like to play.
And keeping the line in the center like you said.
You got one, Dusty?
I do, man.
How's he feel?
It feels awesome.
Finally paid off in a big way.
Yes! It's just the slow rise. Just right off the bottom, and then he came up and it was big, thick, and I just let it back down because at first he was like, no, and then slow rise again, and it just felt it,
It's that cat and mouse game that always gets them.
It's different. I mean, it's intense. I've never been ice fishing before, and there's a learning curve because it is so different, but it's so fun. Yep. It's ridiculous. It's a hog calling, man. That's what you said you were doing over at your hole. So,
yep, it's this Sabile vibrato is what's calling them in.
What is it that you mean by that? Is it the flash of the lure or what?
Well, the flash is what triggers them to bite, the flash of the lure, but what calls them is actually the vibration of the lure. When you rip it up and down, it vibrates so heavy that it calls these flats fish way into us and gets them in here, so then the flash seals the deal and gets them through the hole.
Tell your friends.
One of your most important pieces of equipment out here is going to be your fish finder. And the main reason for that is when you're out ice fishing, a lot of times fish will actually come and investigate your lure, and you have to fool them into biting. Now, one of the big debates that goes on is what's better, a sonar like a flasher or a sonar like this LCD unit here. The one thing that I really like about an LCD type unit though is that it's much easier to interpret what's going on. You don't have to learn to read it, it shows you what's happening down there. Now, one criticism I have heard is that people don't think that an LCD unit instantaneously responds to what's happening below the water. But if you watch the screen as I jig my rod, you can see that that thing precisely is following my lure down there. When I rip it up, the mark comes up. When I hold it, the mark stays there. When I drop it, that mark drops down. So that thing is precisely showing my lure I guarantee if it shows a little lure, it's going to show a walleye coming in there. I've been running this unit here for about 7 hours today so far, and you can see on the battery indicator here, it's not even down to a quarter yet. So this little unit is nice and portable. It shows what's down there, it lasts all day, and it's easier to read. So it's going to help you catch a lot more fish.
I don't see him yet.
Here he comes. He's in the hole now. He's in the hole.
I thought you said it wasn't that big.
Get him, get him, get him. Broke the line.
I broke it, but I got it. Okay, that wasn't the prettiest, but you can't blame me. I'm a little new to this, but I got him for you.
Well, you're a true ice fisherman now because you went down the hole.
And my glove is soaked.
Catch the fish below and above the water.
Yeah, hopefully next time you don't have to go down to your elbow.
Well, you must have some kind of superhuman strength because you're like, it's a decent one, and it comes up and it looks huge in that hole.
Well, that's the one thing about these Manitoba walleyes is they're just girthy, and that's what's awesome about this lake. You know, you catch these 20-inch to 25 inchers, and when they come through, they look like 7-pounders.
Hopefully, we get a couple more.
Look, we'll get them back down the hole.
Mouths open. Well, yeah, I mean, we got like 4 feet of ice here to put them back through, right?
Yeah. Look at the girth,
buddy. Boom! Nice. Nice. Oh, I got ice, slime, water all over. Oh, sorry.
The Real Deal. Real fishing information from real fishing experts. Presented by AMSOIL.
When I look at the pumps, I see the prices, I usually pick the lowest grade gas to put in it. And even if you don't, today's gas has ethanol in it, usually up to 10%. And ethanol is a problem for engines. It binds with water, it ends up causing gumming and carbon buildup in the engines, causes rough running, all sorts of problems. We have a solution to that, and that's AMSOIL Quick Shot. In the past, we've just had small bottles. So when you're trying to fill up a boat with a 30 or 40 gallon tank, you'd have to use multiple bottles. Now we've got the new quart size. I carry it in my truck all the time, and believe me, I don't have time to be putting additive in anything unless it works. This stuff is like the magic juice to keep your engine running smooth. AMSOIL Quick Shot in the new quart size.
I've laid out the different types of lures we're using here on Lake Winnipeg, and really they come in 2 different varieties. One is the action lures, the lures that are drawing fish in from a long way. They're your lipless crankbaits. The one thing I am doing with those is a lot of times we're tipping those with just the head of a minnow, and that seems to really attract things. So these are what they call hog collars here. These are the lures that when you drop down and set in, you're hoping you're close to a pot of fish, and this lure draws them in with the rattles and the vibration. Now, a lot of times the fish will actually bite that bait. I mean, they'll come up and just whack those baits. But other times you'll see the fish come in and be interested, but they won't attack that bait, and that's where the dead stick comes in. This is a lure just hanging in your other hole, typically just about a foot or so off the bottom. And what we've had our best luck with is jigs. Pink jigs, green and white jigs, some kind of glow on them seems to be real useful. And for these, what we're using is a full frozen shiner or salted shiner, so it's a dead minnow. But we're just letting that hang there. And then if we see that fish kind of approaching it, we can move that up and jig it a little, trying to track that fish. Now, you do use 2 different styles of rods for these also. On your dead stick, you're going to want pretty much your regular old walleye rod, a medium heavy rod, a little bit of flex in it. I'm using 6-pound fluorocarbon on here. Somewhat of a low stretch line. You can see a real subtle bite even on that rod tip, but yet there is a little bit of stretch in there, so when they pick it up, they aren't going to feel the rod right away. You can reach down and set the hook. So typical jigging stuff for walleyes. On the action baits, on the lipless crankbaits, I'm using a much stiffer rod. This is actually a heavy action rod. It's a little bit longer than your standard walleye rod. You need that so that bait vibrates when you lift. Attract those fish in. For that reason, because I want a good vibration, I'm using a no stretch line. This is a new line called Nanofill. It's kind of a hybrid between braided line and fire line, only I think better than both. It's actually a very slick line. It's thinner than fire line, so it's a very, very good line to cut through the water. Then I'm running that down to a barrel swivel, and the main reason you need this barrel swivel is these lipless crankbaits will spin a lot, so you need something to take up that spin. And then I'm running about a 2-foot fluorocarbon leader. I'm using 10-pound 100% fluorocarbon for that. I run it down to just a snap, and that goes onto the bait. Both are catching fish, and both are good here on Lake Winnipeg.
staying mobile continues to be the overall name of the game for running down these schools of big green Lake Winnipeg ice walleye.
This is so much fun.
And even though each hole can produce multiple fish, and on average we're drilling 3 holes a person, it isn't always the case. And that means drilling, and even more drilling. At times through up to 4 feet of solid ice, which presents some other challenges for getting these big walleyes to the surface.
Oh, I got one. Fish.
Good one?
Man, this is a good one. Hello, Lee.
Hello.
He's a good one. Oh, he got stuck. I think he's on that lip. I'll just let him down a little, huh?
Just a little bit.
Oh, there he's swimming. All right, here he comes. Here he comes. Here he comes.
Here we go.
There's a swivel.
Coming up.
All right, get him, Lee. Get him. Yes. Yes.
There we go.
Hey, sir. Problem was, as he was coming up, I think his beak got stuck on that hole. And you don't see that all the time when you're fishing less ice, because you can get a little angle on the fish, get him coming in the hole. But up here with this 4-foot thick, deep ice, sometimes they get stuck. And all I did was, I didn't give him slack, but I just reduced the tension. He started to swim just a little bit. And as soon as I felt that, then I pulled him and got his nose up in that hole. Got him up on shore, and Lee grabs him, so that worked out perfect. What a nice fish. What a great fishery. This is so much fun. Love it.
Topics, leading information on tackle and techniques to make you a better fisherman. Presented by Mercury.
The information, products, and technology out there these days, it really is easy to ignore the basics. And when it comes to fishing, one of the most important basics is your hook. It's the link between you and that fish you've worked so hard for, whether it's a live bait rig or an artificial lure. Unfortunately, one of the problems these days is that lure companies kind of fight for price points out there. I was in the lure business, I understand it. You don't want the price to be too high, and one of the easiest and most natural places to scrimp a little bit might be the hooks. And that's not the place you want to be scrimping as an angler, and that's why you need to get Mustad Ultra Point replacement trebles. They've got a premium line of hooks, and whether you're fishing for larger species like muskie and northern pike or walleye or bass, whether you're using live bait rigs or crankbaits or whatever it might be, they've got a specialty treble that's available for you to use that will work perfectly for that application. Ultra Point trebles are much stronger. They have the Ultra Point technology that not only gives you a super sharp point, but it's a point that stays and lasts longer than any other treble out on the market. Now, there's a lot of other good hooks out there, but if you want the absolute best, you want Mustad Ultra Point premium trebles.
So far over the last few days, Keith Kavajecz, Jim Hudson, and crew have been able to break down how to call these big Winnipeg Flats walleyes in from a distance, how to seal the deal if caught in a game of cat and mouse, and finally how to use your real-time portable electronics to maximize your efficiency out on the ice. Of course, as far as Keith sees it, being more efficient doesn't always have to be quite so technical.
Fun fish. I'll tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna point it towards your shack so you can catch it now.
Thank you.
Here you go. Go right over to Dusty. Go ahead and bite.
But before Keith's good-natured attempt to send some walleyes my way could really be put to the test, he comes down with a monster case of Walleyes interruptus.
Hey, there's one down there. Oh, I got one. I saw him on the depth finder and he just whacked it. I think it's a big one.
Oh, looks like it. Whoa.
Man, did he smack that?
I'll get the deucer out of there for you. Get down there and help him, Dusty.
Dusty, you better not miss this one. All right. I like putting the pressures on the rookies, you know.
Look at the
Come on.
I told him he was going to go down to his elbow today.
Coming up.
Here's the swivel.
There's the swivel. There's the swivel, Dusty. Get him! Look at that one! Oh my gosh! Man! Oh my gosh!
I'm gonna choke him. Take him. Wow.
That is what you come up here to Lake Winnipeg for. I mean, it's just a ball up here because you catch so many fish, so many nice big fish, and then every once in a while you can just pop really monstrous fish. Man, is that a good one there. I'll tell you what, this has been a great trip, hasn't it? Really appreciate everything, Lee. There you go. Good job. Man, nice. Did you see old squirrel? I got him! No wonder. Slimy dog! You bastard! You're supposed to be a monster walleye! What are you thinking of? You have to turn off your snowmobile.
I'm the ice fishing extraordinaire. I catch 12-inch to 15-inch fish on one of the greatest bodies of water. Well, a good fisherman catches, you know, the little ones bite light.
You know, you hear it all the time that you should be mobile when you're out ice fishing, but in a place like Lake of the Woods. But probably a Lake of the Woods. Why don't I say that? So if you keep moving and find those active pods of fish, you're going to be successful not only here on Lake Winnipeg, but any place there's open water, roving schools of water.
The Next Bite would like to thank Jason Gaultier for his award-winning hospitality and accommodations. For more on Howard Johnson Winnipeg, visit howardjohnsonwinnipeg.com or call toll-free 1-888-866-5831.